What is up, YouTube? This is Relly Welding coming at you again with another homemade project. Today we are not going to be fixing this thing and riding it. We're going to take it apart and build something else out of it. I built this thing a couple months ago, like 4 or 5 months ago, and I tried to design it as like a mountain board or just a motorized giant skateboard with really big wheels. It didn't work. Originally, I wanted to have this thing have 7 gears, therefore you can go really slow or go really fast. It wouldn't work because I couldn't just put a derailleur on here and just have the thing slide back and forward because the sprocket's right here, and the sprockets were too close together, and it just would have really screwed up with this sprocket if they were over. So I had to make it to where, to change gears, the motor would move back and forward. So therefore the sprocket would move over there, and I just couldn't get it to work. So plus my brake design, I didn't want to use a brake disc caliper, even though I have a brake disc on here, because a lot of people have said that if you take a brake disc and brake disc caliper on a skateboard, they're just so sensitive that it will stop the skateboard and you will keep going. It'll just sweep the skateboard out from under your feet. Therefore, I didn't want to do that, so I tried doing it with this thing, a normal brake on a brake disc, and it just ate away at the pads. So that didn't work. The gear changer, the whole thing didn't work. You really couldn't get any faster than 7 miles an hour on this thing, otherwise you just get really bad high-speed wobbles. So really, this thing was just a failed project, a failed idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the motor off and take the brake disc off and build a pocket bike, or a pocket bike or a pocket rocket out of this thing. So I believe I have everything I need to build one. These are going to be the tires. Originally, I bought these tires for this thing. They're actually pretty round and pretty true, but they're heavy on one side and light on the other. So when you get high speed, they kind of wobble back and forth, up and down a little bit. Hopefully that's not going to be a problem with this thing, because it is going to be 2 wheels, and if you wobble up and down, it's not going to be that much of a deal, and it won't throw you off balance. If it was on a skateboard, you'd make the whole deck just shake back and forth and you'd end up flying off. So that's why I didn't use these tires. So now I'm going to use them for this project. This is going to be the front tire because this one has bearings. This one's going to be the back tire. So what I'm going to do, instead of just taking the sprockets and just welding them to the whole tire, what would be a lot easier is take an axle, put it in here, weld the axle to the tire, and then put bearings. Here are my bearings that I'm going to use, 3/4, and just put bearings on the outside and have the axle and the tire spin together, and therefore weld the brake onto the axle and the sprockets onto the axle. So what I did was I went to my local tractor supply and got these hubs. They weren't perfectly sized. They did not fit in here when I first got them. What I ended up doing was I took a socket and I just stuck it down in there, and I tightened the set screw, and I put that on my drill, turned the drill on, clamped the drill to my desk, and then took my angle grinder and just ground it down until they could fit in there perfectly like that. Whoops. And of course, my local tractor supply didn't have 3/4. They never seem to have 3/4. They only have 7/8. So no big deal. Once I get these on, I'll just take like a little metal sleeve and just slide it down there, and that should make it to where it doesn't wobble. I've done it before many times and it works perfectly. So same thing with this side. With this one, you just slide it down, hammer it down a little bit, and it perfectly fits. So that's going to be for the back tire. And then what I'm going to use for the sprockets is I'm going to attempt to make this thing 3-speed or have 3 gears. It sounds a little ambitious, I know, but I think I can make it work because I have over here this 3-speed gear changer. Simple enough, just put this on here and then hook it up to this thing right here so it'll move back and forth. Simple enough. I think I can get it to work. If not, not a big deal. Just keep it on the first gear. So what I'm going to have to do to put these things on, I ground it. These things had like a little bit of they were too big, so I ground them down. They're too small actually. Ground it down so they fit perfectly on this one that I also ground down. So I have 3 of these little hubs that I'm going to weld onto this axle. So that one goes there, this one goes there, and then this one goes like that. And they're all going to be spaced perfectly from each other. So this chain will perfectly work on here. And I've done the math, and I believe that that perfectly will work for the gear size and everything. Why I'm making it so small is because, yes, this is 50cc, but this thing has a lot of gear reduction on this thing. Plus, this pocket bike is going to be really small and really lightweight, so I really want this thing to go fast. And that's why I made this thing have such small sprockets. Plus, I did the math. In this sprocket, which this, I believe, is 4.5 inch to a 10-inch tire. This is a 4 to an 8-inch tire. So it's and actually this design worked perfectly. It had enough oomph to get me going, but yet wasn't you know, and it actually got some pretty good speed out of that one gear alone. So I hope and I believe that my gearing is correct with all this stuff, and I'm confident that it will work. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this brake disc and off of that, and then also weld it onto this axle. And then I bought this brake disc caliper, this Shimano, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and I'm just going to put it right there, just like a normal brake disc caliper would go. So I believe I have everything I need to build this thing. All I need to do is just put it together. So let's get to it. Okay, I actually got a lot of work done last night. I got the whole rear end done. I haven't welded anything on yet, just to make sure it's all gonna work. Got the little sleeves in there, and I cut that off of the old got the disc brake off of the old skateboard, put it on here. I welded together all these sprockets onto the hub, and they're a little wobbly, especially this big one, because they warped. When I welded them, they warped, so as you can see, they're really wobbly. Not terrible, but it's not good. So hopefully that won't just screw everything up, and hopefully the chain won't just keep popping off. Motor's gonna be there. The front end was off the old project, off of the old scooter that I first made. It didn't work, so I took it apart, and now I'm using the front end for this project. Originally, the holes were right here. You can see that, and I didn't like that, so I made them down and forward. The hole originally the hole was right here, so I made it forward and put it there. Just welded this whole thing on. So that's gonna be the front end. This is a bike assembly. It moves back and forth, and so far I don't really know where I'm gonna put a gas tank. That's the only questionable thing. I may have to buy one, but anyway, no big deal. So last night I tried bending some steel because I want to have one whole piece of steel go from the bearing all the way under the motor and go up to that. So I had to put a bend in right there. So I tried bending it, some steel, and as you can see, it completely kinked. and it's completely garbage. So I went online. I found this one guy who said, you know, what you're supposed to do is have the die you use has to be smaller than the tubing you use. So the tubing has to not fit in the die. So of course, this is the smallest die I'm using. This is actually a 1/2 inch die, and this is 3/4 steel. So what I had to do is I had to make a bunch of these things, and I tried it out, and it's actually pretty good. It looks pretty decent. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do a lot better bends on these parts I have to bend on this thing. Otherwise I'm going to be really mad, because I bought this hydraulic pipe bender. I think I paid like 120 bucks for this thing on sale. I don't know. This thing's a piece of junk unless you know how to use it. So hopefully it'll all work out. This thing's looking awesome.